Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Second Unitarian Church. I am Carla Tebby, a member of the church's Board of Trustees, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Today, we are in person at the Admiral and the 2U Sanctuary, and continuing to meet virtually using Zoom. We ask everyone's indulgence for the complications of a three-part service. We're glad you're here, whichever way you are attending. If you are joining today via Zoom, instructions for closed captioning and chat are in your order of service. When we would traditionally sing together and read things in unison, you're encouraged to do so as well, even though you're either masked or on mute. Our voices echo through the world, so we just might hear one another if we listen closely and sing with our full spirit. We're paying close attention to COVID recommendations. This could mean changes at any time, but for now, we recognize that masking and physical distancing are acts of love and protection. Please see the 2U website for our most recent COVID information. We especially welcome newcomers this morning. Finding a new community and making new connections can be challenging. Please know that we're excited to have you and look forward to getting to know you. If you're new to us today, please note that in the Zoom chat or mention it in person during conversations after the service. We have blue mugs available to signal that you are new to us and would like to be approached. Our worship today is led by Reverend Jason Leiden, our settled minister, along with Margot Horn, as worship associate. Music this morning is provided by Tom Clues, Siobhan Walker, and Jonathan Dunmore. Our time together requires a large group of people who make possible the worship, the music, and the technical production. They are listed in the order of service, and we thank them for their ongoing service to our congregation. I have a couple of announcements for you this morning. Following service today at noon, we will gather outside the front of our church for a public demonstration of our support for reproductive justice. If a few folks could hang back and help with kitchen cleanup, that would be much appreciated. There's still time to sign up for small group ministry starting up again this fall. There's been some trouble with some of the online signups. If you're unable to fill out the online form, please email Reverend Jason that you are interested in small group ministry. You can also fill out the form that is on the welcome table and in your order of service. Next Sunday, we will have our annual water communion. Everyone is encouraged to bring a vial of water to be mixed together with everyone else's. You will have an opportunity to speak a few words about the gifts you are sharing with 2U for the church year ahead. A pitcher of water will be made available for those who don't bring water. You can find more information and additional announcements in your order of service. I now welcome Margot Horn to lead our call to worship.
We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a community of children, youth, and adults, a people of many beliefs and traditions, bound not by the specific list of things we believe, but the values we share. Whether you are joining us for the first time or for the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God some of the time, all of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. Whatever your race, whomever you love, whichever way you move in the world, however much money is in your pocket, you are welcome here. I invite you, as you feel ready, to take a breath in and out. As the music begins, let us enter into our service together.
Good morning. Good morning. Since I suspect almost everyone here doesn't know Werner Jägerhuber, I wanted to let you know one or two things about him. He was, despite his very German name, a Haitian composer, or German-Haitian composer, and he was one of the first in a movement, especially after Haiti's independence, to try to show the rest of the world that Haitians were just as capable as people from anywhere else, just as capable of writing beautiful music. In other pieces that he wrote, he sort of wanted people to know that Haitian and African cultural elements were just as worthy of being included in a piece for cello or piano or whatever. I guess that's all I have to say about him. Hope you enjoy his beautiful music.
Thank you, Tom. That was beautiful. In just a moment, Harris at the Admiral, Ben and Julia at home, and Margot here at the church will light our chalices, the symbol of our faith. And we light our chalices this morning with these words offered by Reverend Tett. And Reverend Tett was supposed to be in our pulpit this morning, but generously let me switch in as we respond to the vandalism at our building. But here are some of their words. A time comes to everyone that we are called by the darkness to face the enormity of the task of co-creating this world. In the darkness resides illusion and disillusionment, Disillusionment is needed to discard the old skin, and illusion is needed to be fearless with the new. Between the two is an unremarkable road to confuse you and make you focus as you toe the very thin line without losing your balance, even as the enormity grows around you. A line so long you have enough time to get used to the enormity around you. It becomes you. Today, we light the chalice to size it up. Would you light our chalices, please, friends?
Please rise and body or spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 170, We Are a Gentle Angry People. Words will be found in your order of service or on the screen. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle, trusting people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people. We are gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Please join me in reciting our covenant. The words are on your screen. We covenant to build a community that challenges us to grow and empowers us to honor the truth within ourselves. We will be generous with our gifts and honest in our communication, holding faithful to a love that embraces both diversity and conflict. Called by our living tradition, we will nurture spirituality within a vision of the eternal, living out our inner convictions through struggles for justice and acts of compassion.
Now please remain standing in spirit or otherwise as we sing our congregational hymn, Spirit of Life.
Good morning. While Reverend Jason is not explicitly talking about bullies this morning, this is one way we can think about the people who vandalized our church and a really great model of a response. Our story this morning is called Eddie the Bully. Are we using our slides today? Yeah, right. If you want to come up, people of all ages are welcome to come up. Eddie was a bully. A great big bully. He was mean any way he could be, any time he could be. You're such a loser, he clucked at Rose when she came in last. That was an easy one, he said with a laugh when Tony had trouble with a math problem. You were born in a roach motel, he sneered at Russell. He hid Anthony's homework. He splattered paint on Melissa's art project. He tripped Emma as she was getting on the bus and off the bus. Fat, he jeered. Skinny, he jeered. Average, he jeered. Nobody was safe. He was a good reader, but nobody wanted to sit anywhere near him during library time. And nobody tagged him during person monkey. He's mean, Angela said to Marco. Really mean, and Carmen said to Sam. Really, really mean, they all agreed. He was mean any time he could be, any way he could be. I've had enough, Miss Henshaw said, ruffled. Time out, Eddie. I've had enough, Mr. Fowler said, peeved. Time out, Eddie. I've had enough, Ms. Kluckner said, exasperated. Want to join me? Time out, Eddie. But during time out, Eddie thought of other mean things to do. One morning, Miss Henshaw made an announcement. Class, we have a new student starting today, she said. I want all of you to make her feel welcome. She glanced at Eddie. All of you. The classroom door opened. Class, this is Carla, Miss Henshaw said. She pointed to an empty desk. Carla, you may sit right there. All eyes were on Carla as she made her way to her seat right next to Eddie's. Uh-oh, here it comes, Amy whispered. Carla's gonna get a real singer, Tony whispered. Eddie's gonna let her have it, Ben whispered. Everyone held their breaths. Carla squeezed herself into her desk. Eddie's eyes narrowed. He grinned an evil grin. He opened his mouth to speak. I love your sweater, Carla gasped, feasting her eyes on Eddie. Huh? Eddie stuttered. I can tell you have great fashion sense, Carla continued brightly. Us fashionistas should stick together. Eddie blinked, glancing down at his sweater. It was his favorite. Hey, let's do lunch, exclaimed Carla. I noticed on today's menu that we're having mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese too, Eddie said, feeling a little excited. Then whoever gets to the cafeteria first saves the other a seat, Carla squealed. Okay? Okay, replied Eddie. I bet everybody wants to be your friend, said Carla. Eddie gulped. His face felt hot. You probably get picked first for teams all the time. Eddie glanced around the room. The whole class was looking at him. Eddie felt miserable. Suddenly, he wished he hadn't been so mean all the time. He wished he hadn't made fun of Tony in math class. He wished he hadn't spilled paint all over Melissa's picture. He wished he hadn't called everybody names. He wished he could start over. It's really tough being the new kid, said Carla. Will you help me make friends? Eddie brightened up. I'd love to, he cackled. Carla beamed at him. I knew you'd be a good friend, she gushed. Eddie felt something inside, something good. It felt good to be nice. He smiled, a great big smile. And from then on, he was a good friend, any way he could be, anytime he could be. Please join me in singing our children to their Sunday classes a cappella. I know we can do this. Go now in peace. Go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere you may go. So each year we all make a commitment, a pledge to support the ministry of this, our church community. In addition to this commitment that we make, we take a collection each Sunday to share with those who are doing justice well beyond our walls. But for the month of September, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're sharing our plates specifically with our youth group so that they can plan a trip to learn a little bit more about their Unitarian Universalist heritage by going to Boston. And this morning we have some words from Jada, I believe. Jada, do you want to come and share with us? Come on up.
Hello. I am Jada. So, as Reverend Jason was saying, the plate share is going to the youth group because we've been planning a trip to Boston. All right, and it's very educational because Unitarian Universalist was founded in Boston, so we try to learn more. And yeah, but that's not all. Hold on. So, not only you could give us money like in the plate share, but we selling chocolate too. It's very organical, very, very delicious, very low calories. Y'all should, y'all should buy it. We be selling them after service. And yeah, you should give the children the money because we're children. I think that's it. Thank you.
And now Ben will lead us in our offertory words. Thank you, Jada. Do we have Ben? Sorry, tech friends. Do we have Ben for this part? Awesome. Beautiful.
Hello, sorry about that. We're gonna do the offertory now. The words are on your screen. This church is the community of ourselves. Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm it and enable its participation in the larger world around us. The offertory will now be generously given and gratefully received. Thank you.
I invite you now, wherever it is that you are, to join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. Let's begin by breathing together. Try relaxing the muscles in your shoulders, the muscles in your neck. Try unclenching your jaw and feel yourself present in your body. We begin in thanks. Thankful for the breath in our lungs, the beauty of our earth, and the strength of this, our beloved community. We hold in our hearts those who care for family in ill health, those who live with grief or chronic pain, those struggling with addiction or illness, seen and unseen. We are with you. For parents and teachers and all those whose primary spiritual practice is caring for children, we are with you. We pray for our neighbors in prison, for those who are struggling to stay afloat in the midst of poverty. We are with you. We pray for all those living in harm's way. We pray for our planet and commit to work that will lead us away from the harms of climate chaos. As war continues to rage on, we pray that wisdom, compassion, and empathy guide the leaders of our world. May they and we be instruments of a just and lasting peace. Our lives are truly blessed by those who knowingly, with curiosity and courage, face their final days. Now, into this, our shared silence across space, I invite you to speak the name of anyone you wish to lift up into the loving support of our community. With our deepest compassion, let us hold in our hearts those named and unnamed, those remembered and those forgotten. Let it be so. Amen, and blessed be. During our ritual of lighting candles for joys and concerns, we want to continue to maintain our safety with one another. In the 2U sanctuary, you will be invited in a moment to come forward to light a candle. As you end your time of contemplation and candle lighting, we invite you to use the hand sanitizer that's available. For those of us at the Admiral, I invite you to come forward and take a pebble from one bowl, hold it tightly, putting your energy into the stone, and then, knowing your joys and sorrows to be shared by this community, let it go lightly into the other bowl. For our friends joining on Zoom, please share your joys and concerns in our chat window. I will light a candle here representing all of our unspoken joys and unspoken sorrows. You can come forward. We hold all of these, our shared joys, celebrations, concerns, and sorrows close to our hearts. Margot, would you share our first reading, please?
Our first reading is a poem by Marge Piercy. Learning to love differently is hard. Love with the hands wide open, love with the doors banging on their hinges, the cupboard unlocked, the wind roaring and whimpering in the rooms, rustling the sheets and snapping the blinds that thwack like rubber bands in an open palm. It hurts to love wide open, stretching the muscles that feel as if they are made of wet plaster, then of blunt knives, then of sharp knives. It hurts to thwart the reflexes of grab, of clutch, to love and let go again and again. It pesters to remember the lover who is not in the bed, to hold back what is owed to the work that gutters like a candle in a cave without air, to love consciously, conscientiously, concretely, constructively. I can't do it, you say, it's killing me, but you thrive, you glow on the street like a neon raspberry, you float and sail, a helium balloon, bright bachelor's button blue, and bobbing on the cold and hot winds of our breath, as we make and unmake in passionate diastole and systole the rhythm of our unbound bonding, to have and not to hold, to love with minimized malice, hunger and anger, moment by moment, balanced.
Our next reading is an excerpt from a poem by Khalil Gibran. He uses very gendered language, but I'm not going to change to be able to hear what he has to say, but let us know we have a more expansive understanding of gender than he offers. Thou art my brother because you are a human, and we both are sons of one spirit. We are equal and made of the same earth. You are here as my companion along the path of life and my aid in understanding the meaning of hidden truth. You are a human, and that fact sufficing, I love you as a brother. You may speak of me as you choose, for tomorrow shall take you away, and will use your talk as evidence for his judgment, and you shall receive justice. You may deprive me of whatever I possess, for my greed instigated the amassing of wealth. You are entitled to my lot if it will satisfy you. You may do unto me whatever you wish, but you shall not be able to touch my truth. You may shed my blood and burn my body, but you cannot kill or hurt my spirit. You may tie my hands in chains and my feet, and chain my feet with shackles and put me in a dark prison, but who shall not enslave my thinking, for it is free, like the breeze in the spacious sky. You are my brother, and I love you. I love you worshiping in your church, kneeling in your temple, praying in your mosque. You and I and all are children of one religion, for the varied paths of religion are but the fingers of the loving hand of the Supreme Being extended to all, offering completeness of spirit to all, anxious to receive all. I love you for your truth, derived from your knowledge, that truth which I cannot see because of my ignorance. But I respect it as a divine thing, for it is the seed of the Spirit. Your truth shall meet my truth in the coming world and blend together like the fragrance of flowers and the becoming one through wholeness and eternal truth, perpetuating and living in the eternity of love and beauty. I love you because you are weak before the strong oppressor and poor before the greedy rich. For these reasons I shed tears and comfort you, and from behind my tears I see you embraced in the arms of justice, smiling and forgiving your persecutors. You are my brother, and I love you. Let us hear our anthem. Thank you, Tom. So I've got to tell you, my beloved friends, that I have been quite angry the last week and a half. Our space, our sacred place, was attacked and damaged. I notice that I'm angry for so many different reasons. I'm angry that our beautiful building was damaged and that one of our stained glass windows created by Orte Foyo Carbonell was broken. I'm angry, but also remembering something that Orte said when he created this stained glass years ago. He's quoted as saying, "It is meant to remind us all that although life is wonderful, many have been deprived of it due to hatred, intolerance, and political, religious, and social persecution." The two women who attacked our building broke a stained glass window that has been part of our church for almost 50 years. The message the window is meant to communicate is one that has been part of who we are for well over a century. whether we remember our founder who spent much of his life dedicated to the abolition of chattel slavery, or we think of the ways that our congregation has spoken up for LGBTQ rights, or our most recent outspoken declaration of support for abortion access, all of these celebrate life in the face of persecution. I get angry that these women took action to try to intimidate us or shrink us away from our values. During a time of great political tension, we as a congregation are left with some hard questions. Do we take a position and declare our stance clearly on the side of love and justice? Or do we try to act quietly and work not to offend anyone with our positions? It's not an easy question to answer. There is great safety in staying quiet. There is a comfort in not rattling things. And yet I have got to tell you, the faces I saw on Pride Sunday from people seeing our sign reading, "We support abortion on demand without apology," that was beautiful. Dozens of people stopped and took selfies with the sign. Numerous people came up to me, and I was wearing my clerical collar that day, and they told me what a difference it made to them that we were putting ourselves out there and boldly proclaiming a religious voice for reproductive justice. We've had that sign out there since Roe was overturned. Our congregation has numerous people in it who are current or former abortion care providers and social workers. People in our church have been trained as escorts to people entering Planned Parenthood. Others have provided abortion care specifically themselves. We are a community that includes people who have been on the front lines of abortion access for so long. I am proud of that truth and hold on to that pride even in the face of an attack on our property. So what do we do next about this property destruction? And what we do next is not something we all necessarily agree on right now. There are some who feel passionately about us pursuing criminal prosecution against these two women. There are those who want to try practicing some kind of restorative justice accountability process. And there are those who want us just to move on and focus on other things. There are those who feel just unsure, not knowing what it is that we could do. I wonder where each of you find yourselves sitting with all of that this morning. While you might know where I place myself in this disagreement, I want to start by acknowledging that the desire to punish those who hurt us makes a lot of sense to me. The women who vandalized our building did not just break glass, they broke hearts. Our church is supposed to feel safe. Our church is supposed to be a space of sanctuary and protection, and these women make us doubt that safety. These women violated us. Wanting to punish them for that makes a lot of sense to me. We've been taught all of our lives that punishment is in and of itself a kind of justice. We've been taught that inflicting pain on others in the form of incarceration, probation, or other punitive measures, that this action will somehow transform our pain into healing. I have spent probably thousands of hours in courtrooms, and I have not once experienced justice inside one. I've certainly seen people be punished. I've seen courts exercise their authority in countless cases, yet I've never seen anyone leave a courtroom feeling like justice had authentically been done. When I think about my own feelings towards the women who vandalized our spiritual home, I keep coming back to this anger. But I'm also sad. I find myself wondering what was going on with these two women that they decided that the only option they had was to vandalize our building. The video, which I'm sure some of you have watched, shows these two women very upset. They also say that they're going to teach us a lesson. They are very clear that they want to intimidate and punish us for being vocal in support of abortion access. I am not, to be honest, surprised that there are some people who walked by our church and felt angry at our message. The loudest religious voices on abortion are those that condemn pregnant people who choose to get an abortion. The loudest religious voices are unapologetic in their condemnation of people who support or choose abortions for themselves. To walk by a church that expresses something radically different, I imagine that's very unsettling for someone who passionately disagrees. These two women did not come up and ring the buzzer on the church building and ask for a conversation. They did not write a letter and express their anger in a healthy way. No, instead, they expressed their anger by vandalizing our space. Part of my sadness comes from a sense of empathy for these women. They've clearly been taught that abortion is wrong and that people who support abortion access are worthy of punishment. We know, though, that everyone loves someone who has had an abortion. What might the people in these women's lives be experiencing if destroying property is how they respond to strangers? Who else have they harmed with their actions? What other sufferings might they have inflicted if this is how they behave when confronted with a church that has a message disagreeing with their opinion? I feel sad for the people who must have been similarly confronted or intimidated by these women. We at 2U are not alone in having our place of worship vandalized. I've been reached out to from colleagues all around the country expressing their solidarity with us. Many UU churches have had their rainbow flags stolen. One church even had their flag burned while it hung from their building. Churches have had their Black Lives Matter signs vandalized all across the country because they chose to side and voice themselves with love and justice. We are in good company of many righteous Unitarian Universalists and people of other religious traditions who've had to deal with property destruction. We are not alone in this. It is in this connection with others that I believe we can find access to a kind of justice. I was speaking with Reverend Michael Crumpler of the UUA, and I appreciated one of his clearest points. He said to me that how we respond to this act of vandalism is where we will find our greatest transformation. I did make the choice not to call 911 the day the vandalism took place. No one was present at the church when the actual vandalism occurred, so it didn't make any sense to bring emergency personnel down here. Instead, I called 311 to make a police report. While the video shows two middle-aged white women attacking our building, I find myself quite anxious about bringing police into our neighborhood. The Chicago Police Department has a very scary and very dangerous reputation in our city, particularly when targeting young Black and brown people. When I think about the potential for justice in a situation of vandalism, I have a hard time, to be honest, imagining that justice would be possible with police intervention. Having a rally outside of our building, though, engaging with people of faith across traditions who affirm the right to choose, committing ourselves to supporting abortion access even when others would try to intimidate us, this is where I do think justice is found. I would also love for us to engage in a restorative justice process with the women who vandalized our church. I would love for them to have to hear the words of what their actions had an impact on for each person here in our congregation. And I think on Khalil Gibran's words and wonder what they might mean for us in the face of this injustice. In particular, when he writes, "Your truth shall meet my truth in the coming world and blend together like the fragrance of flowers and becoming one whole and eternal truth, perpetuating and living in the eternity of love and beauty. Can you imagine what your truth might sound like when intermingled with that of the women who attacked our building? I often think about the wisdom of a mentor of mine, Janet Connors, who engaged in restorative justice circle process with the young man who murdered her son. If she had the capacity to have compassion towards the person who killed her son, what kind of compassion might we be able to have towards the people who vandalized our building? I've said it many times, and I expect to say it many times still. It is my belief that Unitarian Universalism teaches us that punishment is not salvific. I know that I have the desire to punish the women who violated our space. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm hurt, I feel violated, I feel a lack of safety. These women took away much more than just pieces of glass. They dishonored a place that is sacred, sacred to me, sacred to you, sacred to many. What I won't let them take, though, is my commitment to an authentic justice. I do not believe that punishing these women will actually make me feel better. Instead, I wonder what accountability might look like if we actually did find these women. Things that I could imagine include them paying for the costs to cover fixing our space. I would also like them to have to join us for one of our peace circles and for them to listen to the impact their actions had on others. I would also like for them to have to listen, I would also like for us to have to listen to them and the passion that guides their anti-abortion vitriol. I would like for them to witness a religious community that supports pregnant people in making hard decisions for themselves. I would like us to practice listening to those it is easy to dehumanize because of their abhorrent beliefs. We got it, no problem. Hello. These people, they proclaim to be pro-life, but we know that it's untrue given how little support there is for a family after the child is born. Recently, we've been seeing more and more folks putting up signs that say that these folks are pro-birth, as opposed, or forcing birth, as opposed to actually caring about the lives that exist after birth. Those who claim to be pro-life, they would also need to be anti-war, anti-death penalty, pro-universal preschool, pro-non-punitive welfare programs, and so forth. Having open and honest, yet seemingly impossible conversations could get us closer to justice, I think. It is my belief that Unitarian Universalism calls us to this greater sense of justice. If we do not believe in hell after death, we also need to believe that we can get rid of the hells that exist right here on our earth. In my experience, courtrooms are sites of hell on this earth. I have a sense of certainty that we can experience justice in different ways than relying on prosecuting these women. I wonder if you can imagine a different kind of justice as well. If how we respond to this violation is where we can experience greatest transformation, then I hope we can do the hard work of answering that question to the best of our ability. It is a blessing on my part to be with you in this hard moment. I join you in the multitude of feelings coming up, whether you think we should have made a different statement, whether you think we should involve police, whether you think we have a different responsibility as a church, whether you feel ready for a restorative justice process, wherever you are at in this moment, you are a beloved and sacred part of this community. We may disagree with one another, and like we say each week, we embrace conflict, and it is by disagreeing through love and compassion that we can find a shared truth together. And so as we rally in just a few minutes, we do so with people across traditions and from no religious tradition. While I am angry and sad about the vandalism, I am also deeply proud of our congregation for rising up, for speaking up, for being unafraid. And I am feeling grateful to those who have aligned with us. And I feel certain that we will be stronger on the other side of this. We will not be silenced by bullies. Let it be so, and amen.
Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, There Is More Love Somewhere. There is more hope. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more peace. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. And there is more joy. There is more joy somewhere, somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
I invite you to rest your hands on your heart or clasp hands with those you are sharing space with these days, and hear these words of benediction from Reverend Ted. May our dreams and hopes help us enter into a fearless, heartfelt conversation about the possibility that by changing ourselves, we could disrupt the destruction of the world and establish an order that is just. Go in peace, my friends, and rally together. Thank you.
Blessed